On today's Banzai Beats, the beats literally go with everything. Welcome one and all to another great turbo edition of Banzai Beats. I'm your host Ryan, and this is a smaller podcast segment in between our bigger talks over on Banzai Chat. This is where I like to go over the music side of video games and other pop culture, and today we have another hard-hitting one coming at you with the music beats of the ultra-hyper turbo classic fighting game series Street Fighter 2. So let's drop some tokens into that machine and get into it. Street Fighter, if you've never heard of it before, is a long-running fighting game series developed by Capcom. Starting way back in the arcade days of 1987 and still going strong to this day, some would say this is even the OG of all fighting game series. With many different game versions and styles, some of the most iconic characters of all time that even non-gamers can identify with just one look, to even some of its more crazy offshoot media like TV, games, and sadly, live-action movies.
Get used to it. We're your new roommates. Spent the last 3 years of my life chasing around an organization called Shadow Out.
My God, that's bad. While it's not the first in the Street Fighter series, there's not much of an argument that Street Fighter 2 is what most people's minds will go to while thinking about the series. Not only was this the game that popularized the Street Fighter name, making kids spend tons of tokens at arcades, and probably a lot of heated battles on home consoles. Street Fighter 2 is what broke the mold at what a fighting game could be, with a diverse set of characters and memorable looks, to the controllers, button combos, and specials that you would need to learn and remember to be the better player. It may not seem that mind-blowing from today's standards, but at the time, this birthed a whole new type of gamer for years to come. Playing this on the Super Nintendo was a huge chunk of my childhood, where my friends and I would play endlessly to one-up each other any way we could. It was the game that really sparked the love and enjoyment of fighting games for me. Another reason why Street Fighter 2 is such a huge hit amongst fans goes to its amazing, memorable soundtrack. Composed by Yoko Shinomaru, the Street Fighter 2 soundtrack won over its fans just as much as the fun gameplay that came along with it. From each character having their own unique theme that would pump up the volume for each character's personality and background stage. One of my favorite examples of this is from the stage with the Spanish ninja himself, Vega. With its fast tempo and build-up, it makes you really feel that the timer is ticking and you're locked into this deathmatch with the claw-wielding, masked cage fighter. The music is not just good, but iconic as well, for many of the themes to go on to be staples for each character, and also to be remixed in different and interesting ways for other games to come. The music will also become a huge internet joke with Guile's theme that literally could go with anything, which I totally agree with. My personal pick, I'd have to go with Ken Master's stage. Badass theme that just screams to push the fighting spirit to become the best and win the next round. And yes, this goes with everything too. There's not a lot to talk about with just this one soundtrack, and that's okay, because that's why it's so great. I enjoy every one of these tracks, all the way down to the continue screen. This was at a time in my life when I could really understand how great video game music could be, because the only way to listen to this music was to play the game for endless hours. Street Fighter II was just the beginning of this series, and I plan on doing many more of the other games in future podcasts, because there's so many more great ones to talk about. But I had to pay respects to the original beats of the World Warriors themselves. And that's it for today's Banzai Beats. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and remember to like and follow on all of our social media at banzaichat.com. I have been your host, Ryan, and I'll see y'all next time.